Hello and welcome back to the Mind Over Mic podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Come see me live. Come see me do stand-up comedy. I've got a couple of shows coming up in the near future that I'd love to see you at. First up is November the 15th. That is our next Don't Tell Tri-Cities comedy show. That's going to be at Tennessee Hills Distillery in Bristol, and I'm super excited. That is a crazy stacked lineup. Headliners coming all the way from Indianapolis, so we've had some lineup changes, but we've got a super exciting list of comedians on that one, several of which it's their first time with us on the show. So come out and support on the 15th in Bristol. On the 21st and 22nd of November, I will be at the Comedy Catch in Chattanooga, Tennessee, hosting for the amazing Dale Jones, and I could not be more excited to work with him. That's going to be on the 21st and 22nd. And then our next Don't Tell Tri-Cities show will be on the 13th of December. That'll also be our final show of 2025, so make sure to come out and grab your seats for December the 13th. Now let's go ahead and jump into the episode. Today I'm joined by a very special person. I have attempted to get this episode recorded for about 6 months now, and we just could never get the schedule together. So I'm very excited that it's finally time to share this conversation with you all. The guest today is the owner and founder of the Generalist, a general store located in Johnson City, Tennessee, along with her husband, Brad. They are wonderful people, and they've given us a home for our Don't Tell Tri-Cities show since the very beginning. They were our second venue, and we've been back many times since then. The Generalist is an amazing space. If you've never checked out that business, I can't recommend it enough. Please go and support them. So let's go ahead and jump into today's episode with my good friend, Miss Lora Eshbach. I feel like you and I have like a ton of overlap. We've just never connected on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually talking to you as you're setting up 50 chairs, and I'm also like moving shit out of the way. So
and I'm wanting to die
cans.
And throw up. Yeah. I mean, you were here like 5 seconds, and we started connecting over New Orleans, and I was like, this could be the whole show, whole thing. I mean, yeah. So walk me through. Just give me the cliff notes of like how you wound up now, because we'll dive into the business and all that, but I want to make sure we get to you as a person rather than just the business itself.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I know it's like sometimes you feel like you're on like a press tour for your business. I don't want to do that.
Thanks. Yeah, and that's hard. That like I'm not from Johnson City, so people, they know me only from the Generalist a lot, which doesn't mean, I mean, the Generalist is like a community-oriented place, so there's a lot of things to talk about. But
sure.
I think people sometimes are like, oh, you have a life and a child, and you were from somewhere before. And sometimes they want to hear about the backstory. And I'm sort of an East Tennessean's nightmare because I'm a Californian by way of Chicago.
Sure.
So
like, get out of here.
Yeah. But what was the question?
No, sorry. Honestly, there's not one. I think that
the cliff notes of how I got
even that alone. No. Yeah, I mean that California to Chicago to here is such a. I would hesitate to say unique because I think it's probably more and more common at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, the motivation that you had to make that move to here, to this East Tennessee area, is that what I would assume motivations are of just slower living, more affordable?
Yeah. I'll give you a little from the beginning.
Sure. In the beginning. Yeah.
I was actually born in Denver. So it's a random fun fact. My parents have moved literally every 5 years that I've been alive. It's a whole thing.
Wonderful.
Which is great. But it has introduced me to a lot of different places. But I primarily moved from Colorado to California, and then I moved all around California growing up. But I lived there, went to college there. I lived in the Bay Area in like a suburb called San Ramon, and I lived in Gilroy for a while, which is the garlic capital of the world.
The garlic capital of the world. Now I could
live
there.
Festival.
I know this festival. I know this from old Travel Channel episodes.
Yes,
I know this. Yeah.
Sadly, there was a mass shooting there about 5 years ago. So unfortunately, people are like, "Oh,"
what
and
can
I'm
you
like,
do?
"Yeah," but it is an amazing festival.
In such a holy place too, the garlic capital of the world.
It is. It is weird. Like when we first moved there, I was in 5th grade, and I remember going out to like the playground or whatever in the morning, and it was like everything smelled like vegetable soup.
Really?
It's like not, sometimes it smelled like Italian food, but most of the time it just smelled like processing garlic.
Is it the capital of the world because everybody sells it or because they grow it there?
That's where they grow it.
Okay.
So the Christopher Ranch is one of the biggest distributors of garlic, and they grow it in that general area in sort of like South Bay, close to you're getting closer to like Central California is very much focused on agriculture. So there's a lot of stuff over there. Like Driscoll Strawberry Farms is not too far from there.
Sure.
So I popped all around up there, and then I ended up going to college in Fullerton, which is like a neighboring town to Anaheim in Orange County. And, I went to school for acting. And so, yes, I wasn't sure if I was going to do it. I was really into theater in high school. I was actually on the improv team. I was very like into comedy, all the things. And then I was like, I want to be a lawyer. I'm not going to make any money being an actor.
That's true.
I like won an acting. Yes, it is true. Yeah. And then I won like an acting competition, and I had like very slim odds I would win, and I wasn't trying to win, and I was like, well, maybe I got something here.
It hooked you.
Yeah, I was like, I was kind of, I wasn't a sports kid. I never got like medals or anything, so it was like the first time I got recognized for something that I was good at like that, and I was like, well, maybe I should try.
You found that pretty young though. I feel like high school age is usually when people are searching for that identity thing. So to have something that you're like, I'm this now, that's pretty cool.
I also like, my mom was in the hospital for a while when I was in high school, so theater also became this thing that I was like, this is my people. Sure. This was like a nice place for like catharsis. I realized like, oh, there's shit that like I can unpack as a youth in here. Anyway, getting deep already. But then, so I went to,
let's go. I'm in.
I went to Cal State Fullerton, which was a pretty good school for theater and arts. But I have most acting programs, if you get into like a BFA program, like a Bachelor of Fine Arts, you have to audition early. Like you audition to get in as a freshman. Like if you go to NYU or if you go to any of these like prestigious schools, you have to audition before you even start, and then they place you in a program and they tell you, okay, you're going to get through and go to your BFA, or you can go and just get your bachelor's in acting or whatever. But Fullerton, it's a state school. I have theories on why it is the way they are, because they're trying to milk money out of people. But
a university milking money? Surely not.
How about that?
No way.
But you would get in. They took everybody, and then there was an acting program that you only got into your junior year. So you had to do all the prerequisites and jury, like audition in the musical theater had to jury like every semester basically. Like they cut people all the time because
so you're like fighting for your life.
It's like American Idol. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's intense.
While you're also taking 18 to 21 units that are prerequisites for this program you may not make.
Right.
And not doing your general ed and stuff. So
did you respond well to that structure and that like critique level of education? Because I'm an animation major too.
Cool.
And so we did a thing at they call it midpoint, it's sophomore year, where it's like you present everything you've done in 2 years. If we don't like it, you're still a sophomore. And then when you're a senior, it's the same thing. It's like if we don't like what you've done in 4 years, you're not graduating yet. So
that's fair.
Very similar environment, but more long term maybe.
Yeah, but
it wasn't
at least they're
monthly.
keeping you. Yeah. The way it worked for me is like I was part of a class of like 150 when we started. Not everybody was going for the same concentration. And a lot of like theater, you were either a musical theater kid or you were in acting. Yeah. Musical theater, it's this thing where like if you're not a triple threat, like maybe you can't really hit the mark with singing and dancing, but maybe you're a decent actor, then you would roll into the program I was going for, which is just acting, which for me, it was kind of like, well, fuck you. I've been doing this all along. And now it's like the leftovers for you.
Right.
It wasn't always like that, but
that's like if you were a terrible actor and then they were like, yeah, but you can dance pretty good. So you can
like
go over
so.
There. Right.
Yeah, but you can't. Yeah, it doesn't go.
They would
ways.
feel threatened by it.
Exactly.
Sure.
It's weird. So yeah, it was kind of a strange environment, but it did make it very competitive. And I understand in some ways why they do it, because that is how the real world feels. And it was a very good like if I studied with so I got in. I was like one of 12 people who got in to the acting program. But it was intense. You know, you had like auditions all the time that you had to prove yourself to be educated, you know, you're like, can you just teach me? And then my acting teacher, her name is Svetlana Efremnova.
Okay. All right.
She's on like,
that sounds like an acting teacher's name. Yeah.
She is like a third generation Stanislavski method teacher.
Okay.
So pretty intense stuff.
Yeah.
interesting. It's very like psychologically based. Like it's the whole idea is like you're not just getting up there and repeating the same thing every time. You're actually like tapping into the psyche of the person that you're
finding the character in yourself. And
most people know it as like the thing that people go too deep on and then like kill themselves.
Sure. Like the Jared Leto's or the Heath
like
Ledgers and
I can understand how it gets there. You have
always
to have
the Joker for some reason.
Yeah,
it is always the Joker.
Yeah, it's like kind of. But yeah, so she was really intense. She like sort of taught us by like the first semester. We would do these like theater games, but if we didn't do them right, like there was a game, there was like a concentration game where everyone was assigned a letter and we had to spell something out without talking, and you had to clap in order of like the letters to spell the thing. And if we didn't get it, she'd be like, "Start over!" And she'd like scream her fucking head off at you and make you feel like for real like you're like, I can't do anything. People called it concentration camp because it was a concentration game, and I was like, that's a little stretch, but it was very difficult. She was like, I think her whole thing was like ego death from the get, which I don't know if I agree with. It felt lightly. She's not going to listen to this. It was lightly abusive throughout it.
Sure.
Did I end up having an amazing education? Was I a better actor for it? I hate to say probably, but I'm not sure that was maybe the best approach. So most people who got in, you work so hard to get in, and then most people don't continue after just because of the experience of going through that.
I would imagine there's certain students that don't respond to that method also. Because like myself, I think I could power through and probably gain from it, but I know others who could not.
Oh, no. Yeah, it was... Honestly, you learn a lot about each other. Like the people that I was in class with, I'm like, oh, I know how you cope. I know what your fight or flight looks like. Like, But all to say, it was humbling, and I do think that it regardless of where it left my like confidence in acting after that, I think it did make me, it like kind of dunked me in the real world, especially in the world of trying to be out there and be a performer. People aren't necessarily that brutal, in my opinion, in the real world when you're starting out, but it depends, not like to the core cut you. But, but it is a big, revolving door of rejection, like being one of many auditioning for stuff. I do think there was some preparation for that. And it just, one thing I really valued about it is because she was Russian. She was very big on whatever we studied. We went really, in this part of Stanislavski's like method is you go really deep on the culture of the like play that you're studying. So we did a lot of like British and like Norwegian and French and comedy, British comedy specifically, and understanding the culture around the people that wrote it is really helpful, actually. And I really geek out on that stuff, so I found that really fun.
Well, that gives you like a broader appreciation for the character, I'm sure, and also just what you're doing collaboratively.
Well, like some of this stuff, especially she's Russian, so she was like very serious about Stanislav, Chekhov was big. And when you read Chekhov, it's like very depressing, but you don't get it as an American, and you have to read it several times and kind of understand the like what's going on when the play is being written to really understand like, oh, there's like all these layers. And she would get mad at us. She's like, you guys are in love and you didn't even know it. And you're like, no, because you're reading this in its native language, and like we got the best translation, but we're trying our best. Anyway,
it's a lot.
It was a lot, but I did overall have a good experience. That sounded like it wasn't good, but I feel like I cut my teeth there a little bit. Like it taught me to be a little more resilient, and I think from one cool thing I also did with that is my senior project was they do every year is a Shakespeare project where you take a character from Shakespeare and a play and you like rewrite it to make a one-person show. That's pretty cool. So some people think it's sacrilegious to slice up Shakespeare, but I'm like, how many versions of a Shakespeare thing have there been? So I did Taming of the Shrew, which is this whole concept of like this crazy lady ends up being like tamed into marrying the guy. Is the long and the short of it. And so you had to rewrite this. So I did it opposite. I did it, and it was like, so I'm aging myself, but it was like when like what's its name? Just a lot of politicians were coming out and doing some stuff and things I didn't agree with. Sure. I won't even get that. But thank God we're through that now. Yeah, exactly. Right. Oh yeah, it's all gone. Everything's great now. They're all great now. Everyone seems to care a lot about each other. Honestly, I think that's where I'm at. Is I've decided to just lie to myself and go, it's all fine. Everybody loves each other. I think Venezuela loves us. That's what I think. I'm not worried about it at all. No problems. That's where I'm at. Yeah, no. Yeah. But I had made it a whole thing about Planned Parenthood. So I did like I was like a dutiful wife, like a house housewife, and then my whole thing was using the language to basically do the story in reverse, and in the end she like takes birth control. Right. It's like very rah-rah, but it was cool, and I really gave me an appreciation for producing. So while the acting specific was hard, I also got a pretty well-rounded education in like directing and producing, and the quality of performances that we did were pretty high. We were self-funded or self-reliant program where we had a lot of people. People had put a lot of money into the theaters, donated a lot, so we had really nice theaters, and all of our shows were teched by our students, and
that's awesome.
Run by our students, and were students performing. Sure. And they were really high quality, and we sold them out. So that the revenue from that then provided for the same program, which now as a business person, I love that kind of thing.
Right. Well, it's also that behind the scenes into the directing and the production aspect, especially. I mean, I think this is strictly personal advice, but as someone who was kind of forced into this position of being a comic / producer, I'm grateful for it. You know, that all I do is complain about it 24/7. But
it's hard.
Realistically, when I sit with it for a second, I go, I think in some way it does add to me as a comic to know everything that goes into it on that other side.
It's a different experience for sure. Yeah. I think it was always, but that's kind of my personality. I'm always like interested in the bigger picture.
Me too.
And I care a lot about everybody. And so I'm like, I'm the person, like I'm crossing the street and I'm like, no, you first. Like, I'm pretty assertive generally in my life, but I think I think about, I'm like, oh, that person must be, you know, like, I don't know. I give them the benefit of the doubt. And so, that taught me a lot. I don't remember where I was going with that. But that happened.
Right. All the acting. I mean, I think that's such a unique, like you use the expression cutting your teeth, which I love and I say all the time. And I think that is like a thing that maybe people who are in the performative world or something maybe don't quite use that phrase the way that you and I interpret it. Like when you say, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, you're in the grind.
There's a grind. There's a almost like a bitterness or a painfulness to it, followed by all this potential success and relief and gratitude and all these like weird
learning,
emotions.
For sure.
And learning, right. Yeah. It's like
sometimes it's worth it with what you book. So it led to me moving to Chicago.
Okay.
I graduated and all my friends in school went to LA because we were like up the, we're like an hour from
Makes
LA.
Sense. Yeah.
Miles wise, we were not that far, but it takes you fucking 2 hours to get anywhere.
Right. Yeah, you have to
which is why I could not stay there. I'm from Northern California. Southern California is beautiful. It's warm all the time. I was like, it's always summer. It's great. I love summer, but I needed change and variety, and I've always wanted to live in a big city. I was really gung-ho about New York in college, and I always said if I didn't make the program I was in, I would try to transfer to NYU. And so I was like, New York or bust. And then I graduated, and I was like, I have to pay for where I live. So Chicago is like a much more affordable place to live. And then my best friend had just moved there about a year before.
Perfect.
And so my like mentor in college was like, you want to go somewhere that you have like a real strong support system, even if it's one person, because the grind of auditioning is hard, and being an actor is like not for
you're not moving there for leisure or anything. You're moving there to grind. Right.
And then so I moved. And I loved it. I did the grind for a while. It's hard to explain to people who haven't done it that like I had some really good auditions. I got some really auditions I'm really proud that I got that I didn't get the gig for, but like I auditioned for the Goodman Theater, which is like a big house out there.
Just to get in the door is like an achievement.
It's a big deal to even get as far as I got and be thought of. I was an understudy in a play that was like directed by kind of a cool guy in
That's awesome.
Chicago, things like that. And I got a production where I got to go on and things. But I mostly did shitty student films. I did a student film in like Milwaukee that's
I've
like
done
a
a few.
grindcore. Like it was a whole thing. It was called Tough Cookie, and it was, you can look it up. It's horribly embarrassing.
Is it possible
you can
to find
it.
I just want
Cookie.
like a screenshot of Tough Cookie.
I don't even know what the production company is. But it was about Girl Scouts who smuggled drugs in their cookie boxes. And of course, all the Girl Scouts were sexy. And then it had like an element of like danger and violence. And there was like, I had to use nunchucks.
I wonder.
That is hilarious. A Tough Cookie movie. Yep, there it is.
Oh my God, we found it.
On IMDb, no less.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there I am, redhead.
I did not think we would find it that fast.
Yeah, there I am. I was Ginger Snaps.
That's pretty good quality, just from the one still that I've seen.
It's fun. I mean, it's hilarious
I'm
now
watching
looking
it
at
later.
it. Please do. It's not very long. I had a lot of fun.
That's
it
amazing.
taught me a lot. The
2014.
people were very nice. It was kind of crazy. Is this
the poster for it?
Yeah.
That's a sick poster.
They went really hard. I'll give it to them. The people
were
great, and the guy's still doing stuff. It was just kind of insane being on a set in like a warehouse in January in Milwaukee with a fucking short skirt on. And I'm like, is this what I'm doing? Not paid.
Like this is where this led me, this road.
Yeah, I'm like, but this is, I mean, the story, honestly, I was like, well...
Right.
This kind of is too good to pass up. The story of the actual
pretty
movie
cool.
was not necessarily like the highest value, but it was fun. So I did stuff like that, and then I ended up doing a play with people I went to college with. I basically was like, I'm sick of the grind. I had a couple auditions where I was like, fuck, like I just don't. Like a little bit of the stuff that I went through in college kind of fucked me up of like, I would get like, I would blank out in the middle of an audition, which would never happen.
The pressure is what
pressure,
would do
and I feel
it,
like it like sent me back in time to like being screamed at. And also at that time I was like taking 21 units a semester.
Right.
I think my memory is fucked up because of it, because I was memorizing like, I did a 10-minute monologue in a play.
Oh my God. 10 is...
It's like probably the hardest thing I've ever like memorized, and it was. And
there's no improv. I mean, that's script reading.
Yeah, it's script. Right. I mean, like crazy. if you fuck up, you have to figure it out.
Sure.
But a 10-minute monologue, if you get lost, it's pretty hard to get back from.
I mean,
you just end it early.
My brain thinks 10-minute set, but it's actually not the same at all. Because I can flip, I can go off topic, I can improv, I can
exactly. So I was just getting this. I was like getting burnt out on. I was clearly like, okay, like, and I also was doing stuff that I was putting a lot of time. Like Tucked Cookie was fun, but I put so much time. I took like the fucking Greyhound. I didn't have a car.
Oh my God, to Milwaukee?
Yeah, from which Chicago. Is not that far. And I could have taken the train, but I was poor, and like I was like, I just didn't. I was like, it just was like the Greyhound was easier.
Did you have to wear the Tough Cookie outfit on the Greyhound?
No, thank God.
Okay, good, because that could be bad. That could lead to some problems.
It was bad.
Greyhound is not where you want to be in a Girl Scout.
No, it was rough. Greyhound from Chicago to Milwaukee. Oh, yeah. I don't know what I was doing. 22, I was like, or 23, or I don't know how old I was. It was, I was just very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about everything. I was like, oh, bus, this is fun. Crazy. But yeah, so then and I did a bunch of other plays that were, like original reworks and all this stuff. Yeah. I actually did improv when I first moved there. I
thought you did. We've talked about that before, maybe. Yeah.
I took classes. So my last play I did in college was a version of Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, okay.
And it was like a British farce. So it was like all a comedy. And I played the Scottish cook named Blodgett, who ended up killing Hyde with like a frying pan and was like the hero of the story, but was like the comedic relief.
Sure. And the British angle is interesting too, and you touched on it briefly before. Like British funny, humor is so different. I'm just now starting to expose Haley. Like she before me had no comedy exposure at all.
Oh yeah.
So we started with the hits, the American, the palatable, the classics, all that, and now slowly I've been like this
the weird
is
stuff.
Monty Python, and of course she's like, all girls hate Monty Python. Like she hates
it's funny. Yeah.
I love it. She indifferent. And then there's a show. Ricky Gervais did a show called Afterlife. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
She's perplexed by it right now.
Ricky Gervais is like a specific flavor of comedy for people.
And Afterlife is like so... I mean, the show's about a guy who wants to kill himself because his wife died of cancer, but he can't because nobody would be there to feed his dog. That's literally the first 10 seconds.
Amazing.
That's the cliff. And she's already like, this is so sad. And I'm like, I know, but I swear to God.
Dark comedy.
It's so great.
Yeah.
It's so great.
That's a lot of British stuff, right?
Right.
But yeah, so I loved it. And I was like, I had so many people being like, you should do comedy. You have great comedic timing. And I'm like, okay, like I'm great scripted. And I've done improv before. And theater inherently, you improv. Something goes wrong almost all the time if you're in a production. And like I did a whole improv scene when they broke a table. And they were like, you need to go on and take it off because you're the chef. And like it makes sense. And the other person is like a undergrad we don't trust to go do this.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, and so I made a whole
production.
bit for it. Yeah. And they had me like, every time I did one scene, they were like, come in every time with a new song that you're singing. And so like stuff like that was really fun. I enjoyed. So when I first moved, I was like really gung ho. I'm like, I'm going to go to Second City. I'm going to do the thing. I chose Second City over IO. I kind of wish I had done the opposite, but Second City is cool. I came from this like highbrow to me program where I was told it was very important, and I was like I was getting a great education abuse aside. And so I kind of had high standards for what I wanted to use my time for. And I had a BFA of like, honestly, that was also they had an MFA program, a master's program.
Okay.
And the only difference between my program and the master's program is that they had to write a thesis and had to teach. Like, it was the same education.
Sure.
So to me, I'm coming in feeling like I know what I'm doing. And then I'm going to an improv for actors class, and 3/4 of the people like aren't comfortable being on stage.
Right.
Because they have a theater degree or whatever the prerequisite was. And I was like, oh, this is not fun.
There's a lot of those guys in comedy too that are like, they took an online class to do comedy writing or something, and then they can't go on stage out of fear.
Yeah, which, I get that.
There's also the exact opposite, which in my opinion is maybe a little easier to overcome, because it's like, if you can just be charismatic
being
on stage,
it's easier to bomb and like rebound from it.
Yeah.
I met some people on there that were cool and ended up.
Do you know Amber? She did Second City, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure Amber Autry. She did Second City at some point in Chicago. She's a stand-up. She's a friend of mine. She was Don't Tell Nashville at one point. Cool. Now she's way too successful for that. And actually today I saw she's shooting her first special at the Bijou Theater in Knoxville in February. She's
That's awesome.
Blowing up. She's
hell yeah,
sold out every weekend from now till doomsday.
Amazing.
She is wonderful, and she came from that Chicago improv background. So I have like just some small awareness of it through her.
I dipped my toe in. I did like the 1 and 2. I had some bad teachers that really made me like, I'm paying for this, and I just don't feel like I'm like, I would rather go back to the place where they're yelling at me. Sure. It's like, I would rather get something.
At least it's affordable.
And I did do it also to like meet people, and so I found some friends through that, but it kind of just put me, I was like, I don't know if this improv thing is for me. Also in Chicago, it's everywhere. Oh, yeah. It's much more competitive. It's much more saturated. Sure. And I really like long form, like scenic, like I'm a theater person. I like.
And you're getting like seconds.
You're getting so many. Well, the thing that people want to see, or the thing that is not, I don't even know if they want to see it. Everywhere, all over Chicago is white boys doing improv. All white boy troupe. All Love being like dicks. Ha ha ha. And you're like,
honestly,
okay.
I would like it.
I mean, sometimes they're really good, but when every show you see is that, and then you see a really good one that's like on main stage at Second City, you're like, okay. Like, do
you think that's Chicago specific, or is that maybe time period specific also? I think coming from the stand-up angle, there's definitely like ebbs and flows of what's culturally in the spotlight as far as humor. Like my brain almost jumped to like that Shane Gillis like humor, which right now is the flavor of the month.
Right.
It won't be. No. At some point it won't.
And it wasn't when he didn't get his gig on SNL. Right. And now he's like hosting. Yeah. I don't know. I think it'd probably be different now because of like a post TikTok world. I'm 35. It was like I graduated college in 2012.
I'll bleep that out. I'll put whatever age you want.
Great.
In
okay. She's 17.
Yeah,
no,
17.
That would be far too young. Don't say that. But so I don't know. That's a good question, because I think
maybe now, both too.
Yeah, but I think it'd be interesting to go back now and see it. Theater post-COVID in Chicago has also taken a big hit, so I'm also not sure what the landscape is like out there. But yeah, just for me personally, I was like, I love this, but you literally, when you go to Second City in Chicago, there's like an escalator. It feels like a mall, and it's very like commercialized. And I've had people who have talked about like I didn't go for the next round of things that I had to audition into, and the people that got in, I was kind of like, okay, I don't want to do this because if they think that person can do it, like
happens all the time.
I'm a jerk about it, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I just was like, I didn't want to waste my time. Yeah.
There's festivals, there's clubs, there's all kinds of stuff that I see the lineup and I go, God, I'm so glad I got rejected from that, because just by connection to that, it kind of makes you feel a certain way because you know those individuals or the system as a whole. Yeah,
I didn't write it off, but I never ended up coming back to it. I had friends who did IO, and I went to their shows and I loved it, and like I think I would have loved it if I had taken it back in there, but I just didn't take that path. I ended up auditioning a lot, doing a lot of stuff that I was like, why am I doing this thing that someone's producing themselves, and is like, I'm sitting in the room and being like, and ending up taking on producer roles as like the flute girl number 3 or whatever in the background, and that's where I was like, maybe that's a sign, like I
think that there's so many parallels we'll draw throughout the episode, I'm sure, but that's another one too, is like, because I am a producer, and I think you and I have the similar
mindset around it all. And like, I'll go to a show that is a shitty show and I find myself basically co-producing, or in some cases producing the show because the guy's not even fucking there. So it's like, then I step in and I do it. And there's part of me that's like, why do you do that? Why can't you just suffer through it like everyone else and not take the lead?
Because we're good at it.
There is a part of me that goes, well, somebody has to do it.
Yes,
you know?
it's too painful for me to say. I'm also not like, I'm pretty outspoken, so I have a hard time shutting up if I have an opinion anyway. In a room, I've gotten better at it, being a business owner in public.
I could see that presenting an issue with that system too. I mean, like the critique system. And also one thing you mentioned too about the system back in California and it being so cutthroat and the critique to it. But the thing I found in the animation path is the critique is tough. The American Idol-esque thing is tough to be looked down on and judged. What is more tough is what that brings out of your peers. And I can only imagine.
Man, it was brutal.
Right.
People like wouldn't talk to me when I made the program because they didn't. And then they did get fucked. They put all their eggs in that basket. And then there wasn't a bachelor's alternative, so you couldn't have a BA in acting. You had to go just be a general theater major.
And then there's bitterness that swoops in and or
and then people are
jealousy.
And then you're like, here, come see me in my show. Also, we're like partying together, and I'm like, they're like, oh, it must be so, I'm like, this is like, I'm really glad I got it, but it's not easy. Like, it's not like I'm here sitting here on my laurels because I like won the prize. I'm like, the prize is more work. Like,
and I think it's coming from their perspective, and they obviously aren't aware of this, but I know a billion comics who suffer from exactly what we're talking about. And the thing is always like, it's much harder to go, I'm not good enough than it is to go, he got a lucky break. He knows this. He pulled that. Even with Don't Tell, I mean, there's comics who resent me for getting Don't Tell and bringing it here. And I'm like, do you want me to do this thing or not? Like, I'm trying to do this for all of this.
You get them paid?
Very little of this is selfishly motivated. I do want the stage time, obviously, but it's much outweighed by the work I have to put into it. It's not even close.
Well, and also I really think what coming from Chicago and seeing something like that is very encouraging because it's getting the people here to be comfortable going to a comedy show.
That's
and so you're going to buy people. Hopefully people are then going to be like, oh, well, this person says they perform at Blue Ridge Comedy Club, or like they're going to keep an eye and they're going to follow that comedian. And to me, it's like, especially in East Tennessee, it's exposing people to just like the act of being in an audience, which
the idea of it.
I went to the Wallace Theater when we first moved here we moved in 2020 and during the pandemic, and we went to the Wallace Theater. It was like when the Generalist was under construction. So it was like 2021. And I brought like Negronis. Like I was going BYOB hard.
Sure.
It was like, it was the era of post-COVID world. And I was
at the Wallace you got to.
Yeah. And I had a great time. I was laughing my ass off, but I was mostly laughing at the audience's responses to the comedians. And not in a like making fun of them way. Just like people are also drunk and they're just not used to it. They did that game where like every sentence starts with a new letter of the alphabet and you keep going.
Yes, I know that one.
And somebody like forgot
ABCs
on stage,
they call it, I think. Yeah,
that makes sense. Someone who was on the next letter forgot their letter, and they had started it randomly in the middle of the alphabet at like K. And there was somebody who just shouted out K, and they were definitely not on K. I don't know if it was the Negronis or what, but I'm like, this person doesn't get this game, and I just thought it was really fun. Culturally, it's just very different.
It's so different,
which I think, but it's fun. Like people really love it, and it's like I was having more fun because it was like a different thing. It's like
revolutionary.
Exactly,
because I sometimes will preface our shows to the comics and go, listen, like
it's
I
not
can
like
see the show
normal
list.
Room.
No, and some of them, actually the last one at Generalist that we just did, it was a great show, good turnout.
I heard some things. Not bad.
We'll talk a little bit more
about that.
We'll talk a little more off camera. I'll tell you the truth. But what I'll say right now is that it was a very tough room, truly, and that's because I have a show list with our ticket holders, and it'll show me if they've been to any of our shows before. And sometimes we'll have, we had one not long ago that had been to like Don't Tell Berkeley, California. How they wound up with us, I have no idea.
Fascinating.
But they know the brand, and so they're there, and that's awesome. And then we're starting now. Like I have one couple who's been to maybe 12 Don't Tells of the last 30. They're there almost every other show. Some people come back, some don't. Anytime I see a list and it's all zeros next to the past
it's
shows,
such a gamble.
Well, what it usually is for me is not only is it their first Don't Tell, it's probably their first live comedy show. So a lot of times it's like they don't want to laugh because they don't know they're allowed to.
Yes.
Sometimes the host will tell them, them don't talk and they take it too serious and they don't
get heckled
laugh
or something.
They're scared.
Yeah.
They all sit in the back. It's a very cautious crowd. I usually will go listen. Like, they'll warm up. Okay, I promise. And some of them are older and some of them are going to be a little pushback on your joke. But you got to adapt as that's the whole thing, kind of.
Yeah. Can't go in too hard.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's definitely weeded out certain comedians that I go, you're great at what you do, but you can't pivot. Yeah. And my crowds a lot of times need it. And I wish they didn't. I wish that wasn't true.
But I would argue it probably makes them a better comedian to have different rooms that they have to pivot in. Like, that's just me as an actor being like, well, that's the fun part.
Yeah, you don't want to play to your crowd every night.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
some
you
people
could, and I know there's always new stuff, but that's interesting you say that because I'll finish the chapter on my Chicago story. But I produced my own play. Not my own play. I produced a play with some friends from college that were in Chicago with me who had the same education, and we all went through the program at different times. One of them was actually one of my classmates, and it was crazy. I did it all myself. It was a super weird play, and like someone got naked in it. I took all these. I was like, it was like a bunch of vignettes. It was very like abstract. It was very, I don't know, but I was like, we're doing it. I love this play. Very bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And
and you wrote this and produced it?
I didn't write it. It was, but it was by a pretty well-known playwright and John Patrick Shanley. It's called Big Funk, and it's just like it's a story. I don't even remember what the actual like through line of the story is, but it's all these little vignettes, and at the end there's like some long whatever. But I did fundraise for it. I crowdfunded for it, and then I produced it and found our rehearsal space and did all of our rehearsal schedules, and then found the venue, and then house managed half the shows, and I was in it. So I was like crazy. Don't recommend that.
Well, that's months of your life, I'm assuming, of just grinding.
Well, and then I wasn't really present on stage. Like I did it, and people wouldn't have known probably, but I was like, I don't think mentally I can like handle that much anymore.
That's me on stage. Don't tell all the time, because usually when they say announce my name, I go, oh shit, I have to do stand up. I've been worried about that spill over there for the last 10 minutes. Yeah, I totally relate. Where you're like, that's the last thing on my mind is what I'm here to do. Right. I'm thinking about everything 100%. Else. Yeah.
So that really started me being like, I really like performing, but I still want to perform, but I much rather do it on my own terms.
Right.
They're just, you can be one of 7 redheads in a room, and it's like people just like one person a little more, or somebody knows somebody, which I've gotten auditions for that. I get that, but I just was tired. I just wanted to perform somewhere, and so that was part of the reason why we did that, and it was very fulfilling. I learned a lot, and it kind of sparked my like, oh shit, I can do a lot more just by myself. I worked in tech in Chicago for a like startup a mobile app company, and learned a lot from being in there too. I got to do like the 9 to 5 and then audition and do whatever I wanted. I was never into being a starving artist. I always thought that was bullshit. Yeah. And I don't knock the people who have to like figure it out, but I think it's also a mindset thing. Like I think you're going to be a better performer if you're like have a roof over your head, you're not worried about losing, and like food on the table, or like obviously not everybody who's an actor is like that in dire straits, but it can be rough.
Well, there's such a spectrum between those two too, but I get into this debate a lot with other comics, especially I have a handful of guys that are like my go-tos for advice and for, they're achieving the things that I'd like to. So I go to them, and a lot of times it does wind up there. And I'm like, I understand that like for you, it makes sense that you're living out of your car and you're traveling the country and all these things. But for me, that's just that's not my path.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that your path is wrong or that mine is wrong. It's just, it's not mine.
Right. And people make it that way. Like that's not to say that it can't be successful, but
and am I missing out on things by not doing that? Sure. But I could also be missing out on things by not doing the path I'm on.
My brain does not work that way. I have to just relax. Severe ADHD, not severe. I have ADHD, so I don't know how severe it is, but it's something that like I have to have some amount of structure, and if things are always that, my life is already chaotic on my own fruition. Like I don't need to add that. But so I started after doing that play. I was like, oh, I want to just like get people together and do a less intense version of having to raise all this money and all this stuff.
Right.
And I started doing a variety show in my apartment. I lived in a 3rd floor walk up, which is like just like a 3-story apartment that you're on the top floor. And I had a duplex, so there was 2 stories in my apartment. And I lived with 3 other people who worked in the food and bev industry, and I worked a 9 to 5. So no one was home Friday, Saturday nights. And we had this huge living room upstairs that nobody used for anything. There's no like TV or anything up there. And it was pretty much empty, and there's no neighbors above me or below me. And I mean, beside me, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah. And so I was like, well, this would be fun to like fill this. I crammed 60 people into my like attic living room. Whoa. And I mean, it was bigger than an attic, but it was like, you know, top floor. Yeah. And it started with like anybody I could wanted to do stuff. And so I had like 10 to 12 performers doing 5 to 10 minute sets. It was a little crazy.
It's a long show.
It's a long show, but let me tell you, it was a house party too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Everybody was having a lot of red cups. But then I like pared it down, but it was so cool because it became this thing where it was on my living room floor. I was like putting blankets and pillows out, and I worked a 9 to 5. So I had people from like who aren't in the art industry, like Chicago is a pretty rich community in like theater and art. So there's a lot of people that I had in that world. But I also have a lot of friends who are like musicians or visual artists or other types of mediums that I'm like, well, you want a place to put something. So like, why don't we do this? This is the place to like throw shit against the wall and see what sticks. Right. It's lower pressure than even some open mics. Some of the best theater you can see in Chicago is in these like found spaces. And so I was like, well, I'm obsessed with found spaces. Let's just make my own in my own. Yeah. This is my found space.
It also attracts the type of people who are attracted to that sort of thing. And then you build that, I guess it's like, for lack of a better term, vibe to the show. Yeah.
And so I got, I had a big group of people go through there. Like I had Molly Kearney, who is a pal of mine from Chicago. I didn't know them super well, but well enough to invite them to perform, and they did. I saw them at like a house show at another place, and then they were the first non-binary cast member on SNL. They just left recently.
I know that name stuck out to me.
They were in 2 seasons, like maybe 2 seasons ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think they left 2 seasons ago, and now they're on that show DMV on CBS. Okay. But like I was like, holy shit, Molly's on SNL.
Oh, that's
like I have pictures of them in my living room. Like so you know, there's little things like that are like I get to hang my hat on. But what I was really proud of was that it became this room where you were talking about earlier, like you kind of have to teach an audience how to act. And I think that is missing from a lot of shows. I mean, if you go to a play that's just like there's etiquette you have to know, but in things like that are like not meant to be like fourth wall, like you're talking to people, you have to set the vibe and not just like the lights and stuff. You have to tell people the rules. You have to and my husband, so I started dating him around this time, and he is not from the theater world. He is like, he was very wanting to impress me and go to these crazy shows. He went to a 6-hour play with me in like the first 2 months of us dating.
Oh, you would have been single.
I don't know why I went to that 6-month play.
Now, I can't do it.
We enjoyed it in our own way. We were not sober the whole time. That's basically how we got through it.
Oh, sure. That'll speed it up.
It was one of those things where like my friend worked for the theater, and it was a thing I was like, well, when are we ever going to be able to do this again? It was like a big thing, but holy shit, don't recommend it. But he was a trooper, and he was always like, what are the rules? Like, when can I pee? I don't want to fuck anything up. I don't want to offend anybody. Right. And I would take him to anything from these like fancy shows to stuff in a house or whatever. And he's like, what's the vibe? Like, where can I go piss? Where can I smoke? Like, whatever. And so when we did that in my apartment, it was like, okay, I need to be clear about this for people like him. And because it was a mixed audience of like friends of people performing and my people I worked with who are not necessarily like of the theater world or whatever, comedy. Right. You just had to set the rules, and most of the rules were don't be a dick. These people are up here in front of you.
That's a pretty general one, yeah.
But it's crazy how you have to say that. Like, I genuinely mean it, because people are fucking assholes, and you're like, I am right in front of you, actually, and I can see that you're not on your phone, or I can see you talking, and I'm actively in the middle of this. You paid to be here in a lot of actual like paid shows. Drives me crazy.
That's a huge one for me. Is like you're here. Another one for me that I hosted the first like 6 months of our shows, and then have tried very hard to step away from it. Because it's like, I'll host other people's shows, but mine, oh my God, please God.
It's a different animal.
Give me a break. And I'm on every 2 weeks, so they're sick of me. They don't want to see me all the fucking time. But the one that I run into a lot with our shows is like, not every joke is going to be your joke. That's okay.
Yes.
Even not every there may be 10 minutes. There may be 1 out of 6 comedians that you just don't vibe with. Right. You don't like their humor. That's totally fine. Just shut up. Yeah. Because someone next to you loves them. Right. And that's their favorite. Them laugh. Right. And that's their favorite. So just don't judge people around you. And then when your favorite's up, enjoy. Like that to me is maybe it is just because we know the backside of it a little more, or we take it a little personal. But in my mind, if I went to something I've never gone to, I wouldn't only react to the things I enjoy and then ruin the things I don't for everyone around me. Like that's like if you went to a movie.
Like, you need to go to therapy, friend.
Oh, it's not good.
I don't know what's going on with you.
That's a lot of audiences anyways. But yeah, I mean, if you went to a movie and there's a slow scene and you just yelled out like, boring. Like,
exactly.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I think it's because that fourth wall is broken and they can see you. And also people aren't used, especially now, not used to being in front of, like you're watching things on screens, especially in the era of TikTok. Like
the intimacy,
they talk back to you, and you're like, oh, you can see me. I'm not in my living room.
Yeah.
In my experience with that show, it became a thing where because we created this, like, for lack of a better word, like safe space, it just became a thing where like people were like, I'm very big on creativity is not exclusive.
Sure.
I think everyone's creative.
Yeah,
I think you can have your own creativity. Like you problem solving something in math, it could be creative. Like, I don't know. People are like, oh, I'm not a poet. I'm like, but you just read me a poem from your iPhone. Like you can read that out loud somewhere else if you want.
Or you have something else that you do.
Actually can do. Yeah. I just don't believe, while I have this like education and these three letters that in certain circles, you're like, oh, you have a BFA. It means something.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I don't fucking care. Like I am the
There's
more
like
impressive,
an elitist attitude
it's
there.
Stupid.
Right.
And I have seen the best performers, the best artists, the best musicians, people who are like had nothing figured out themselves or whatever. And so many people need to be told that because it feels inaccessible. And they're like, oh, I could never do that. Like, just do it. Like, why not? If you want to do it. And then suddenly you open this thing and they're like, oh, actually, I really like this. And so I had a lot of that kind of like people would watch it, people would get into it and be kind of like drunk on the vibe, you know, like people are like, oh, this is so cool. It feels good to see like people performing like this in this intimate space. Yeah. The alcohol helped. But I had an instance where someone was like, I want to read a poem, this kind of quiet girl who used to come and I was like, okay, like I'll add you in. And then like at intermission, she's like, I'm not going to do it. I was like, okay. Or at the beginning of the show, she's like, I don't think I can do it. And then she got up and she ended up coming at intermission and saying, actually, I think I want to. And I just stuck her in. And it was like this like really deep poem about this thing that had happened to her. It was beautiful. And I was like, what do you mean? You were just sitting, you know, like, so
like we almost missed out on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I really love, I mean, that's kind of how I've ended up where I am now. Like that's what I love, to just like foster this place where people feel excited to try and experiment. And
that makes my favorite part about this show is like, you know, there's so much back end work and all these things, but to sit in this moment and hear this 45-minute chronicle of how you wind up now and then see that direct, bold through line of like basically building up this through line in your life. That's my favorite. But even with, we kind of touched before I clicked record on the psychology guy that came on. He was describing to me how his childhood in many ways was unorthodox and didn't really follow the book and took all these different angles and different approaches. And then he starts talking about his method in therapy and how he was kind of discriminated against in the university structure because he was unorthodox and took all these weird angles. And I'm like,
oh, well,
do you see the parallel? And of course he does because he's brilliant. But I don't think everyone does. No. I mean, are you actively aware through this time in your life that you're kind of building this version of yourself, or is that only a hindsight thing?
I was aware. I think especially at that time in Chicago where I was like figuring it out with the show. Yeah. When I did the first play, it was like the first time it really clicked that I was like, this is what I want to do. I don't know what this is, but this experimenting, this like finding what feels good to me and not just going by the way I'm supposed to do it. Yeah. Like I really wish I could still be acting more, but I love acting. It hasn't gone away, but I don't really want to do it that way. I don't want to grind like that. I don't want to be a starving artist. It takes a certain type of commitment. I want to have a family. I want to have a fun life. There's other ways I can be creative.
I can still go audition for plays. Other ways. Yeah, exactly. And this is strictly personal, but for me, I find a lot of times that those influences or those voices in my life that are like, you need to do more, you need to grind more, you need to sacrifice more, are the people who rely so heavily on that one thing for their happiness. And it's not coming from a place of passion or joy. It's desperation or fear of like, but this is my whole identity. Right. So I have to do this. Whereas I'm like, I don't know, man. Sometimes you know what I love is to just sit on my couch. Yes. And I'm sorry, but I'm sorry that I don't want to just grind all the time. Yeah. And yes, there's probably an open mic within 6 hours that I should have driven to and done. But realistically, I kind of just want to sit here and be with myself.
And you're doing it though.
And
you're like very involved in the comedy community. I understand that like feast or famine, especially when you're in. I imagine I haven't done stand up and in that world, but I can imagine, especially there, you're like jump at any opportunity.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
who's in the room, where you're going to be. You
Yeah.
never know when you're going to like hit it. I respect that hustle. It's a
lot.
different flavor of hustle I've not experienced, but it's, I couldn't
Don't.
do it either. That's why I didn't do it. I was like, well,
yeah.
I'm probably funny. I don't know if I could like do a full, that's one thing I do want to do in my life is a stand-up set, but I'm not there now. I'm like, one day, maybe when I'm like a little more older and not as busy.
Sure. Well, a huge aspect there too is like, it is the hustle, it is the grind, but again, all I can do is speak from personal experience. When I allow myself to go, hey man, it's all right if you just kind of chill and be yourself and fine. I'm also at an age and a stage in my life where I'm like just now discovering solo happiness, where I'm like, I'm not really codependent as much as I used to be. And like my childhood's behind me and I'm okay. And I'm like building this life that I'm kind of okay with, like all these new things. So to sit with that, then as soon as I start allowing myself to slow up and not chase all these opportunities, it's like, there's an opportunity.
That's honestly
it just
how
happens.
It works.
Yeah, it
and
just happens.
You will be better equipped to take it too.
Exactly.
Again, it's not knocking the other way people do it, but that's my angle. I also believe in experimenting and what works for you. And so if that works for you, great. If you're somebody who wants to drive for an open mic, that's their prerogative.
And I do. That's the other thing. I do. I mean, unfortunately, the state of our local comedy scene is that if I want a true, genuine test of material, I'm driving 90 minutes for 5 minutes. So to say that I'm not hustling does at times get under my skin a little, where I'm like, I can't do that every night because I have this 9 to 5 or these relationships or whatever it is. I think you and I are very similar in that. And again, I don't know that everyone, just like with the school program thing, where it's like everyone reacts and benefits from things and then doesn't from others. The lane change is interesting to me. Yeah. But it seems like from the jump, you've kind of been on that same trajectory.
Yeah. I think, unknowing, I just realized that like wound up your hands.
Dear God, I don't care. I don't care.
It's okay. I'm just like, I'm kind of tethered myself.
No,
you really move.
Tetherball?
Yeah. Sorry.
I can stall.
But I think it's helpful actually for you to point that out about me, because that's something like I'm in the phase of my life now where I'm trying to figure out what the next thing for me is, and not just like another business, but like that's what I'm really passionate about is this like mindset. And I have a lot of people who come to me and they're like, how do I do that? And I'm like, well, I'm trying to figure out how to package that, not just to sell, but just like, I've never thought about my method of doing things, and I definitely have one. Yeah. And so for myself, I kind of want to crack it and be like, well, if I get that standardized a little bit more, I will be much more efficient, and then I can take on bigger projects I want to do.
And impart that on others too. I mean, and I think it is so easy for someone else to point these things out in you, for sure. Right. Which is one reason that I feel not only comfortable but kind of compelled to do that for others. Yeah, is like because I'm probably the worst case where it's like you could say anything nice to me and I just go, nah, that's not true. I cannot accept it.
Yeah, it's hard.
But I will say to you that there's many people, some have been on this show, that since doing Don't Tell and stuff, I've kind of gotten ingrained in that downtown Johnson City thing. And everybody talks and everybody has their ideas and opinions. Everyone has one. But for the most part, anytime you come up or anytime your business comes up, everyone is like, that's a bad bitch right there. Like, that's kind of the vibe that I get is like, she operates her way and she does it. And I know that you've been very generous to lending help to others and imparting some of what's worked for you. Yeah. And I think coming from a business standpoint, which I have very little experience with, I would imagine it's even more valuable because it's like starting a business in a downtown in the city you're not from had to be such a hurdle to jump. And so now you're at a place where you're not only successful, but other people are following your model and looking for your ways.
It's interesting.
That's crazy.
I feel like I'm at the point in my life where I think it used to give me imposter syndrome. This isn't my first business. I started a business in Chicago with a peer in my community at the time, basically spin off of the show I did. She did like a much more curated version of what I did. Okay. And was wanting to start an event performance space. And so she came to me, she's like, do you want to be my partner? We'll go 50-50. And I said, cool. Yeah. And so we did that for like 3 years, and it was an event space a little bit bigger than the space we have at the Generalist. And she was really into galleries. So we did gallery shows. We did marketplaces, like kind of like vendor markets, which is kind of how I was like, well, this is easy.
Another building block to,
I knew how to do it for the Generalist, and then we would do performances. So we would do comedy shows. So there's, I think I told you when I first met you, there's a thing, it's called So Far Sounds. It's very similar to what you do, but just for like music.
Pop-up music, right.
We did those all the time. But anyway, so that was like a really big jumping off point. Running an event business is really hard because you can't do anything more than the space allows you to do, literally physically and time wise.
Right.
What you're selling is your space. And so like you can book 3 things in a row on a day and want to kill yourself at the end of it when you're one of the only people there working and you're flipping the room every 6 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned a lot from that experience. And then my husband's from Johnson City. So I had come here a lot. We got married in Jonesboro.
Gotcha.
We always kind of knew we'd be back in Johnson City. Pandemic happened. I was trying to keep our business alive up there. We got PPP grant and all this stuff. And my business partner eventually was just like, I don't have it in me. And then her and I kind of had a falling out, and it was all for the best. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
But I learned so much that I feel like coming to Johnson City and knowing that we knew we wanted to start a business. We always said when we visited, like literally we came to Johnson City November of 2019 for Thanksgiving. And there's a picture of me standing in front of that little mural that says Little Chicago. That's the little barrel that's on the side of one of those buildings on Main Street. And I remember Brad and I walking around and being like, it would be really cool to have something here. And then, fast forward to 2020, we lived there. I was trying to get back into the tech space because I was like, well, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And his job went remote, and I got to like final rounds of interviews for like 3 or 4 jobs and didn't get them. And I was like, I feel like this is a sign. Yeah. I really didn't know how I felt about going back to work for somebody else too. And so, the Generalist was born kind of out of like, well, why don't we do the thing? We always talked about doing something like a general store. Yeah. We're very big on like every town you go to, where's the Main Street general store vibe? Where's the place that everybody goes? Yes. And then also living in a big city and coming to a smaller place, there were things that we missed. It was like,
oh, of course. Yeah.
Products we loved and brands and just.
You have some great products too. I mean, there's items in your store that when we do a show there, I have to go to Haley and go, no buying. Like, especially the sweets and stuff. There's rough. A company in the back right by the venue space that we do. Cocoa bean and butter.
People are crazy for that.
If you're somehow listening to this, please God, send me whatever you want. They have milk chocolate coated wavy potato chips.
That's the best one.
I can't stop. I can't. Every time we do a show, we get home and I go, tell me you bought them. And she'll pull them out of a bag and I'm like, oh, that's my little treat.
Okay, I don't know if you know this, but Brad and I used to live above the store. We just recently moved.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A house, yeah.
Okay.
But he is like a big sweets person, and he probably had that once a day. Like he was probably, and the nice part of being upstairs is you could go there at the middle of the night.
It's so. Oh, I would be.
Like, you're like 1 a.m. You're like, I really just need that.
It would be a detriment to our profit if I lived above that.
We spend a considerable amount of money of our own business and things like that.
Yeah. That is such a good product. I mean, this. I'm kind of half kidding. I'm also not.
No, it's really
what
good.
A great product.
Yeah. The fun part about them too is they're a family of 5. They're all extremely tall. The father is like the dad is like, he's got to be 6'7", and their like son who's like 21 is like also 6'7". Wow. All of them are, and since we started, we've been open a little over 3 years, and they have a stretch of kids from 21 to like 5 or something or 6. And I've watched them kind of grow up, literally physically, like beanstalks, like popping up.
Yeah, the 5-year-old's also 6'7".
You're like, what's going on?
Are you born that way?
But they're all super involved in that family and that business, which I really admire. Like Brad and I are really passionate about the family-owned business, and so it's cool to see. We have a lot of family-owned businesses that we have in the shop. So that's the cool part about what we do is it basically married me and Brad's strengths into something that is kind of a playground for us, like a sandbox for us and everybody else. That's that experimentation that comes back in. Is like retail is all a big experiment. There's definitely like a way to do it. I don't have a lot of retail background. I worked in food service. Like I worked at In-N-Out for 6 years.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah. That's pretty sick. That I like.
I can talk a lot about burgers if you want to. I actually am pretty passionate about burgers. It's kind of annoying, but it is. I hate to say it's really true. I love a burger, but like everyone is. You know when like people find that one thing about you and they're like, okay, well if I don't know what else to get her, I'll get her something with a burger on it. Yeah. And you're like, I'm kind of fucking sick of it. I'm like old enough where stop giving me.
You're trapped by this burger thing.
But sometimes I'm like, well, no, okay.
If that's your identity, that's what it is.
Yeah, but it's So yeah, that's kind of like how that started in a very big sense. We also got a grant for from downtown Johnson City, actually from the board I'm now the chair of.
Right.
Ironically.
The recent one, Sarah and I talked about one recently.
So Connect Downtown is the name of the Main Street Board.
Yes.
It was in a different version of what it is now. It wasn't housed in the city. There's been a lot of change in that board.
Right.
But
probably for the best.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
As someone who went through it on the other side to where we are now, we didn't have a super great experience with certain things. However, they gave us free money, so we love that.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot. They were trying to fill a big space in downtown, and so we weren't sure exactly where we were going to do it, how quickly we were going to do it. And when that grant came up, it just accelerated things. We had ideas, and we're like, well, shit, we gotta like make this work.
Yeah.
I love like give me a constraint, tell me the deadline, or tell me the things that need to happen within it, and then I love to fill in the blanks. I love to know the rules, and then I also love to know that's the structure.
How can we stretch the rules?
What's everything I can do around it? And not because I believe in just necessarily inherently breaking the rules, but like I said earlier, I like to figure out like what else. We don't have to do it the way everyone says you do.
That mindset would make you such a good comic too. I mean, that is literally comedy, is like, what are our boundaries here, and then let me walk as close as I can, or sometimes tip over. Like that's the mindset. And I'm sure there's probably some parallel to acting or improv as well.
For sure.
But so we've touched on Generalist a little bit. We should maybe just say the Generalist. That's what we're talking about.
That's the Generalist.
As a patron, as a performer at shows there, as I guess now sort of a friend of the business. I mean, I'm there a lot. I'm in and out a lot.
For sure.
I feel I'm at the point now where like when I walk in, your employees know me, which is kind of wild.
We love that.
Yeah, as soon as I walk in,
we want
they're
as
like,
many regulars as possible.
Oh, that I like. Okay, yes. I do like that. What I'm curious about is you have this model that is technically really there's no crafted items that you've crafted with your hands, right? Or are there?
No,
do you have a booth yourself?
No, I'm starting to sell jewelry.
Okay.
But that is very recent.
Okay.
And that is not arguably, like I'm assembling jewelry. I'm not like...
But the model is you're curating these other artists or to the confectionists or whatever. The people who make, my goodness.
There's probably another word for it, but I don't know.
A confectionist just sounds, they deserve that.
Yeah,
that sounds fancy. They deserve that. They knock it out of the park.
The crown confectionist.
I think what I'm trying to get is that environment is so tricky because it's your taste that's curating this. And you mentioned that, you and Brad kind of have that split, so you get his perspective on things, which I'm sure is great. But I am so fascinated by this idea that you're not necessarily building this business based on what will sell, but it's what you like. And then do you find that the community almost adapts to that and is responsive to your taste? Is there ever a situation where you go, oh, maybe that's just a me thing?
Yeah, I think I tried not to do it all for me. Like there's definitely very clear, like we have things we like, and there's definitely a vibe of who runs it. But especially at this phase, like we are thinking about like, okay, what about, there are things that have come. I think day one, I was like we have to be super curated. We have to make it a certain thing. And I've learned now that like, it's still a business. Like I still need to sell things.
Unfortunately.
And you're like, I don't know if this will sell, but like someone here might like it. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, well, someone really likes it. So it may not be like my favorite display or whatever, but like, I don't really care. Like, I don't need to micromanage everything in here. I actually feel very much I love to get people in who are passionate and experts in what they do and let them do it.
Yeah.
I don't like to, there's no like, I don't have to approve things. I'm like, no, you come in and do it. Like that's how I run the show that we have. It's like a version of the variety show. I'm like, you don't need to audition for me. I just go do your thing.
Well, if they're passionate about it and if it resonates, it will float.
Yes.
And if it doesn't, it'll show itself.
Or, you know, there is with products specifically, part of what I work with now is helping people understand what sells that they make. Right. So there are people who are more art driven, or people even who are just makers who are like, I like to make this thing. And I'm like, can you make it smaller? Because you can charge less for it and you can make more of those and it's a better use of your time.
Sure.
And there is some like tricks around, you need to pay your bills. You don't want to be a starving artist. How do you make your rent? Yeah. And that's how I advise a lot of people. I do really try to find the gaps to fill. Like I know we have not enough men's stuff. That's something I'm trying to focus on for the holidays. I want more kids stuff. Yeah. We just added 12 new vendors. So trying, man.
Wow. How many do you have total in the space? Roughly, do you know?
I think we are at just about 100.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's nuts. We have
Are there vendors that have just like one item?
Yeah, there's some that do consignment only, so they just have like small batches of things they bring, or that can be somebody who just sells us cards or whatever. But then there's like, I think like 35 or 40 people who have rented spaces that they have on the walls or like on the floor and stuff. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think the response to it from the community has been really fun. Like I was really surprised when we opened it, especially with, I think specifically the products we do. Like I am wholesaling, like the grocery stuff and some of the gifts, like those are things that we wholesale that are the things we miss from the city. So it's like all these people think like, oh, I literally had people come to me when we opened, me like, how did you get this brand to work with you? And I'm like, oh honey, you just like fill out a form and they're like, you want money? Like, here you go. Like, it's like
you just
not
buy
that
it and then
deep.
you sell it.
It's just like there aren't people around here doing that. And there isn't, and not to say there isn't people with that taste level. I don't think I'm that exciting, but I think it's just different and I have more exposure to it in other places. And I'm one of those people that are like, well, why not? You know,
it's also anything that is foreign to someone who's only ever been here, you know, and I think most of my life would have maybe put myself into that category. I think I've very intentionally tried to drive myself out of that category and experience more of the world. I don't know if we talked a brief background on me. During the pandemic, I bought a van, pulled the back out of it, traveled the whole country. So
I just listened to your episode with Allie. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, we talked about.
I was like, wow, that's juicy.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, we could go on forever. Yeah. But one factor of that, I think, is I bring these pieces of culture back with me, and now traveling for shows, I try to do the same thing. But unfortunately, and this is coming from, I'm allowed to say this because I grew up here. I think there's many people here who maybe don't know that is a possibility, or at least don't see the benefit of it. There's people here who react to even, don't tell or comedy, how we were saying it is exciting and it's things change or just anything foreign. And I think there's obviously some parallels to draw to cultural issues. I mean, we
know where it comes from.
Right. But it's the same in merchandise, I assume. And if they go, I've never seen that product, I'm not even interested.
Yeah. There is, surprisingly, one of the things that came up when we first started was like the story I always tell is we used to sell that truff hot sauce. It's like truffle flavored hot sauce. Right. It's in like major grocery stores now, which is why I don't sell it anymore. But I remember more than one occasion where I had like somebody I would not expect come up and be like, what is a truffle? And be really curious. And I have people ask me more, like Appalachian culture is very curious. While there are a lot of, you're not wrong, there's a lot of that vibe.
Closed-mindedness. Sure.
I think I've kind of figured out how to like poke at it a little bit and be like, well, what do you mean? Let's talk about,
food's a good one.
Yeah. Food is
food will bring anybody out of their comfort zone.
Of course, if they like walk in and see the like $100 stuffed animal people go crazy for on the internet that I sell, like they're going to be like, why are you selling? And I'm like, oh, it's cute. People sells. Like them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the interesting thing about living here. My husband grew up here, went to Science Hill and ETSU, and has always been very pro Johnson City. We always call him Johnson City's hype man. He has a TED Talk that's all about Johnson City history. That's awesome. You should check it out. It's cool. So I've learned a lot from him because he's like kind of obsessed with the culture here. It's also what he does for a living. He's in advertising, and so it's so much of like understanding who you're selling to, but also he just loves going deep on culture.
Me too.
Which is cool. I mean, it's the same thing I was talking about with like those plays. Like it's the same, like you're just curious about how other people live. And I love what you said about bringing something back with you. I've always felt like that. Like I don't know where I want to end up, but I want to be able to travel and live a lot of different places and like absorb it from it, like not be in one place. Yeah.
Well, I kind of think of myself as almost like this junk drawer, which I can't say, junk drawer,
a drunk drawer
of a person, a drunk drawer, where it's like, I just have these little pieces of everywhere and everything in me, and that kind of makes me. Whereas I feel like some other people are sort of boxed in by this identity of who I am and where I'm from, and it's like even in this. I mean, if you go downstairs in my apartment, there are items that well, maybe now you can find, but like I have chicory coffee blend from Cafe Du Monde in New Orleans. Like that's a piece of New Orleans that I like to have that reminds me and takes me there. There are people, a guest of this show that I've had come in and go, what the fuck is that? Like they have no awareness of what that is. To me, that's sad in a way. Yeah, it is. It's sad and it's limiting.
Yeah. It's hard. My experience with it, and you talk about walking the line, I like to push that, not like call it out and be mean or anything, but I like to, if people are feeling as bold to say something to me about something in the store, I talk to them about it. And it can be like, I mean, like, well, you know, sometimes they'll be like, what the hell is truffle? You know, you're like, well, it's a mushroom, and they might like say some shit, but then like I generally try to make it friendly enough where people might leave just a little bit more like an open mind.
Sure.
I don't think that I'm like a magic wand, like I make everybody think differently, but I think sometimes it's just offering a different perspective to people.
Exactly.
And rather than, the whole world right now is built on like, I'm on this team or that team, and if you're not on my team, then fuck you, and you know, all this so extreme. And I living here after living in a very different political landscape in Chicago has taught me a lot. And you know, I lived in Chicago in 2020 when like there was a lot going on.
The height of the
there was like protests and looting and
the blue scare, they call it.
The National Guard was there for a long. I mean, it was intense. And that taught me a lot, but then coming here where you're not in an echo chamber where everyone might agree with you, I think being able to talk to somebody who doesn't agree with you is so important.
It's everything.
And
for me,
I hope for the future of our society and culture is like, that is the thing I think I wish everyone got better at.
Yes.
I get to do it every day because of little shit like that. When people come and they make a snide comment.
What's a truffle?
And generally now it's less about those things. We have some people in the store that do have some more overt political things on their stuff, or just like, you can tell this person is queer or whatever.
Sure.
And so you certainly, like, I've had one of the artists in the store has like a illustration of a vagina or something, but it's like artistic if you really like looked at it, but it's like not, I don't know, but it was on the front of like whatever the display, and somebody like took it and put it somewhere else, and then took all of these other like things off her booth and like collected them and brought them to the front and gave them to us, and then stormed out. And I was like, to
show you of like, this is what
okay, well, I know I sell that, like, you know. So it's I don't know, I try to look at it as an invitation for a conversation. And if people are really, if it's something they haven't tried, like if it's like a food or drink or something, I will open it up and give it to them. I'll be like, try this.
That's huge.
You know, I just think like just trying to give them the offer if they can say no.
Right.
But it is very challenging. I think that is the challenging part of Johnson City culture at large, especially right now.
Well, the culture is a huge, maybe the most significant factor. And I think more often than not on this show, you know, this is maybe episode 19 or 20. So I wind up slipping into these lanes of conversation because it's human nature. There's things in the world that we talk about.
It's also kind of everywhere.
It's everywhere. And I think one of the things that comes up a lot is social media's impact or big news's impact. And when you're talking about this like limited perspective, again, as someone who grew up here, I think it is cultural. I think it is ingrained.
It totally is,
Some of it's socioeconomic as well. I mean, it makes sense to me that someone from here may have never had a truffle. Some of it's resources geographically. 100%. There's not a history of truffles here.
Truffles are super expensive and bougie. Like it makes sense. You don't know what it was. Yeah.
So it's like,
I didn't know what it was till like 5 years ago or whatever.
Some of it's that. Where I lose that maybe leniency is when you go, oh, it's right here in front of you.
Oh, I hate that shit.
And they go, I hate anything I don't like. Right. That's where we run into an issue for me. So I can imagine coming from a business that not only operates kind of curated off your taste, but then also has these independent artists who make things that don't always agree. I mean, I can imagine the backlash. But also it's like, to me, if you walk into that store, more than likely you're maybe not one of those folks that is so closed-minded to anything. Because to me, if I'm walking past your store, I kind of get an idea of what it is. You know, it's not, there's no MAGA flag in the window. It's like, so if I'm wearing a MAGA hat, that may not be the place for me. Well, or maybe it is if you like chocolate-covered potato chips because they're in the back.
Honestly, we very much want everybody to come in the door,
of course,
regardless of how I feel about what hat they're wearing.
Of course.
And that is not just because of a business thing. It is a business thing, but we're a general store. We're supposed to have a little bit of something for everybody.
Sure.
It would not behoove me, and it's not what I believe in, to make it so niche that it shuts people out. Right. I think the point is to make it as inclusive as you can, and that's actually like what the people who I have beef to pick with, or I have beef to pick. I have a bone to pick.
Yeah,
with beef. I have beef to pick. Sure. Sounds delicious.
Drunk drawer. We're killing it.
We're doing good. That's what happens when you talk for 45 minutes straight. That of people who on the other side are like, I'm so inclusive, but I won't even entertain how to talk to somebody again who doesn't agree with me.
Right.
It goes both ways.
Yeah, it's like the antithesis of what you're promoting yourself as is to go, well, I don't agree with you. You're on the wrong team, so I won't talk to you. It's like, well, isn't that your gripe with them? What's the issue here?
Also, I think in general, so there's been actually very few really, really extreme things that have happened like that. What I've learned is, and I have people who have confirmed this who are like part of these communities, which is nice, is like when I was in Chicago, especially the business I ran, it was like, if you didn't put your flag in the window, if you didn't put a Black Lives Matter flag, if you didn't put the rainbow flag, if you didn't put it front and center that you believe in this, and I'm like, this is a city where every fucking person is into that. Like most people.
A lot of that's just virtue signaling.
Yeah, too. It is. It's the whole thing. Yeah. But there's all this pressure, and if you don't do it, they're like, you don't believe it then you're not actually on their side. And you're like, what do you mean? I'm doing all the, like, why do I need to? You're not
blue enough.
Yeah. But
what does that mean?
East Tennessee, it's like that, it puts a mark on me.
Sure.
And the people that I'm trying to protect to have a space where they can come.
Sure.
And those people are in part of our community too. So like, I don't want anybody to like think too much about it. Obviously, like you said, it's not, if you think about it a little harder, like it's not a secret.
No, it's not.
But I also think that there are people who are unaware, who do come in with MAGA hats and just are like, oh, cool, a place.
And enjoy the things they buy.
That's what I want.
That's the most, I think that's maybe the most important thing. Right.
Yeah. I'm not a political statement. I know that I have a platform and maybe one day we'll use it for something, but Brad and I both believe in like, you kind of have to stay out of that. And I will have conversations. We'll donate to things. We don't need everybody to know.
Right.
And that's just the work that I do in those community, and for people who would get mad at me on whatever side, I'd be like, well, I'm doing the work in the community that I'm building.
Well, the truth is, even if you did have a MAGA flag in the window, then you would just catch flag from the opposite side, because exactly what we're talking about. Of like, everyone is so
it's a general store.
Divisive. Yeah. And the social media thing too, I mean, it's literally like this, the definition of an algorithm is I feed you only what you want to hear.
Yes.
And I think I'll maybe cut it to personal for a moment. Like my grandma is, she's your traditional Southern lady. She's a Fox News gal. She's on Facebook all the time. Facebook has fed her this algorithm where it's just promoting all these wild theories she has and all these things. She actually genuinely does not understand that my algorithm is different than hers. She doesn't 100%. Understand that's like she, there's a comic she loves named Dale Jones. I don't know if you know. Dale's absolutely phenomenal. He's one of those guys who, like, in the South, anytime I do a show, and I'll ask the headliner, like, who's the motherfucker in the South that nobody knows? They're like, it's Dale Jones. Huh. He has been around a long time, and he's figured out the social media game, and he's worked his way onto my grandma's Facebook.
Oh my God, that's where amazing.
It's at. And she watches him all day, and she sends me his clips. He's Richard Pryor to my grandma.
Yeah,
she thinks,
hilarious.
But she doesn't understand algorithms, so she thinks everyone sees Dale Jones all the time.
Oh, so she's talking about
She's like, Dale this, Dale that. So then recently, I did some shows in Chattanooga and had a good rapport with the club owner there, and Dale's coming in November, so I just reached out and was like, I know everyone's going to be bothering you for this because he's great. I would love to just do a guest spot or whatever. And she was like, how would you like to host all 4 shows? Which is huge.
Cool.
I'm very excited.
Grandma's coming?
As soon as I told her. I couldn't wait because it's like, this is the biggest name to her. Cool. But that I say all of that, and that's not braggadocious. I say all that just to reinforce that, like, yes, she is literally convinced that Dale Jones is the most famous comedian in the country, whereas to you have no idea who he is.
Exactly.
And it's not a slight to him. It's just that's the culture.
Information you're given.
Yes, exactly.
There's I can't remember. I'm so bad. I know like the bad memory. I know like all the headlines of things, so I don't remember his name or what state he's from. But there's a guy who's running, I think, for state representative, he's Congress, one of those. He's running for a thing.
Sure.
And I've been fed his social media stuff. I heard someone send it to me, and he is really good because he'll go in a room and like people on the left will like shit talk and be like, how are you going to handle all these dummies, basically?
Yeah.
And he puts it really well where he's like, it's not a pity thing. It's like it's exactly what you're talking about. It's like, you have a different stream of information that you're consuming.
It's education to some degree. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It's absolutely that. Yeah. And it's also the things that they're being fed. They're convinced it's true because they don't have anybody who doesn't agree with them to talk about it.
And I would almost say it's on both sides. Like
100%.
That fear of incubation is something that I wrestle with as someone who's active on social media, more out of like necessity for comedy in this show. I would love to just throw my phone in the lake.
Oh yeah, me too.
I don't know if I realistically could at this point. Maybe I'm hooked a little too deep, but in theory, I would like to do that. But the idea that that you've created this space that challenges that is I think, important to some degree, but also like, do you find that the importance weighs on you, or is it almost like this is just kind of what I'm doing?
I've come, like, I think it was hard. It was hard in the beginning because I came from Chicago and was like, this is, and it was
culture
hot off
shock.
I was hot off.
Sure.
Well, yeah, I was not a stranger to East Tennessee, but definitely, and we built the Generalist for like a year before it opened, the literal build out, and we had started the business on paper like at least 6 months before that. So Brad and I really took our time trying to figure out exactly what it should be. We knew the structure, we knew it'd be how we'd pay our rent and stuff with like vendors and helping, but that was not like every consignment shop that you go to. That's like not every. There are a lot of consignment shops that you go to that they are just happy with collecting their rent and they don't give a shit about people's money and what they make, even if they have commission on it. And we are very opposite. I'm like, I actually care. I actually like, I'm just passionate. I think it's fun. It's like a fun challenge.
Well, you're a curator and you also have your taste that is reflected, as you said, not in every item in the store.
No, it's
but to some degree, it's like a representation of you.
It's not a junk drawer for like, it's a different junk drawer. Like you'll go to some places and like, oh, they'll just take anybody and who will pay them the money.
Sure.
But so because of that, we spent a lot of time thinking about what we stood for and how we positioned ourselves, and you know, especially in times where there is that pressure of like, you gotta say something. In the beginning I'd be like, we gotta say something, and I'd feel guilty, and Brad's like, no, like I think like it's stronger to not say something. Sometimes it's better to not be the loudest person in the room. I am generally the loudest person in the room. I'm usually the one yelling.
Well, in the case of the business, rather, you're allowing the brand that you're built to kind of speak for itself.
Exactly.
And go, we don't have to
I don't need to say it. If you want to have a conversation with me, we'll talk about it. The other thing I always say is like, I would much rather someone come into my store and unknowingly buy something that's made from someone that they probably don't agree with, like the existence of that person.
Right.
Or, you know, it's like, I'll take their money, you know, because it's funding this thing that does support the community, and I'm able to give back and do these things. And I also hope it plants a seed of like, we're not all that bad. We're not all that different.
Right.
We all still like whoopie pies and
I don't care who's making those potato chips. I don't care who's doing it.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, and that is the culture around here too. And I think it's just getting into like breaking through that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, even getting, in my experience, and this is, I would say this is 50% don't tell and 50% conversations with other local business owners and you know, Sarah Delbin and those types, where it's like even getting the local culture to embrace the idea of shopping local is already such a hurdle. So then to shop local from a vendor that you maybe don't agree with politically or, you know, like that's a whole
I hope that you go into a shopping place. Like I hope that we don't go, like you don't go into Target. I mean, some people now everything's political and what the brand stands for or whatever, but like you don't walk into like a big box store and you're like, who made this?
It's also so hypocritical because you're like, well, I GPS'd here on an iPhone that was made by slaves in China. It's like, where's your high horse here? So I don't understand.
I do think that like there is pressure in like communities and things where you're like, oh, you have this like loudspeaker, why don't you use it? I have felt that before.
Where do you feel that pressure coming
from? Not from here though. I feel I have felt, not necessarily people have done it to me, but that is the pressure of running a business in Chicago. And that was something that was very pressure. I was still trying. Yes. I was still trying to run my business through COVID, and then we ended up closing it. But like we were a community hub there too. So we were resharing stuff, and we were like feeling like we had to, like, there was a lot of things you had to navigate. And it's honestly a relief that like, I'm in the minority of thought here usually. So I'm not going to like raise my hand and talk about it if they're not bringing it to me. And people don't come in ready for a fight generally.
No, I don't think so. And I think while I do think that, you know, it like you said, it's no secret, your business or your ideas through the business. I also don't think you're presenting that as like, in the same way that you're not presenting on the other side. It's exactly what you said. It's a safe space for everyone, and you just want people to enjoy the product. I
genuinely want everyone there. And like, because but that's me. I actually think that being less visible and like wearing those badges makes everything actually safer for the people that you want to protect.
Sure.
Like sometimes putting something out there and inviting people to come and like retaliate against you. I mean, that's how everything's going on with like social media responses to news events in the last couple months, that people are getting fired and all this stuff because of what they're saying. And like, I'm not going to comment on how I feel about that, but it's just the whole point is like, that is the machine we are in. And so if someone wants to talk to me personally about it, we know, but we also are, you're in the public eye. You also have to be thoughtful of I'm saying this on this podcast and no one hopefully will come for it.
That's tricky too. Cause it's like this show, I think much like your business model is like, I am very interested in diving to the person as well as the person's achievements or their business and all these things. Generally what I find in every episode is that everyone wants to talk about themselves. That's usually an easy way in. I mean, it's always interesting for me because I'm weird. I just like to know about people.
We like to culturally enjoy people.
I enjoy the observation of it. But what is strange to me is that, I'm a comic. So the topic of censorship and like the Jimmy Kimmel incident, for example, came up on 3 or 4 episodes in a row because I recorded them back to back. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine to discuss it and give my opinions there. What I don't understand is the people who have no relation to the performance, to the comment, to the anything, and they still have this hard, fast opinion on this thing, and they are so aggressive with it and all these things that I can only imagine if I were to operate a business in that space.
Want to stay out of those environments.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is how we're all being programmed to react to each other.
Well, you and I sitting here talking about it is how it's meant to be.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not supposed to know.
You could sit down here and say a bunch of shit that I don't agree with, and I wouldn't be walking out of here.
No, because we can see each other. Like if I'm arguing with a guy in Tehran over what's going on in this, like there's just that's not natural for us. Right. That's not. Yeah.
Well, that's part of the problem. Is it's all happening online. Exactly. It's like we're saying the algorithms, what people are fed, the news sources, and I'm not saying it's better. I think all of it's fucked. I think it's. I disagree with most of everything and just like how it's done. Yeah. I think not like principles and values and stuff I align, but like that's the part that's like kind of scary about our life now and here. I mean, I have an 18-month-old daughter. We are very adamantly keeping her away from screens as long as we can.
Good. Yeah.
There's like proof that you keep them away before they're 2. It's better for their brain.
Sure.
Brad and I both have ADHD. I'm like, anything we can do to like
slow that down.
It's gonna happen. So like, how do we help her as much as we can? And also like, it's just, I talked to someone recently who was like, she quit her job to be an Instagram influencer and got like an agency or whatever and got a bunch of followers and was doing it. And she's a mom and she was posting her kid a lot and doing it and making money off of it. And I was talking to her about something for the store. She rented our event space and she was like, sorry, I've been hard to reach. I've just been putting my phone in a drawer on my day. Like, I just can't do it. I can't do it anymore. And she's like, I'm going to like Amazon affiliate stuff. I'm not doing any more Instagram. I'm not posting my daughter anymore. And I'm getting a house phone and
that's a big one.
Phone.
The kids is a big one that I don't have any of my own, but I see that debate a lot. And I know I have some older friends and stuff that have kids, and it's like, I'll even see a lot of times you'll see posts where there's just like an emoji over the face or something like that. And I'm so curious about that because it's like, I've never had to navigate it, but I mean, I guess, before we wrap, I do want to touch briefly on, you have this very new thing in your life, which I am sure just uprooted and 180'd everything you'd ever thought about yourself. So just walk me through the transformation in you since now having a kid. That's huge.
It's so interesting. I mean, it's awesome. Yeah. I think people don't talk enough. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's very hard. Sure. She had like the worst night of sleep maybe she's ever had. She's 18 months old on Saturday. I'm like, I don't know if it was Halloween. She went to a birthday party with our family or the time change or what. She's teething. Like, you just don't know. Yeah. You roll with it. Yeah. I think what people... Brad and I reflect a lot on, my husband and I. We talk about how starting a business like the Generalist was like having a kid. Like we said that all the time when we started. We were up at all hours. It needs a lot of tending to. We're on call all the time. Yeah. It's burping. Like you gotta fix itself shit sometimes. All the time. There's just so much you have to. I have like a staff, and all these people.
And you love it,
and I love it exactly. And I built it, so it's matters a lot to me. But running a business and starting your own business and working at that scale is like, I always said my business in Chicago was small. It was 1,000 square feet. I always said I could like wrap my arms around it. Like I could do it all myself. Right. I had a business partner, but we didn't necessarily always work together. Like one of us would work an event and then whatever, because we didn't need to. I could not do it all by myself with the Generalist. I could not wrap my arms around it. And so I've had to learn a lot. The biggest thing it taught me being pregnant was my capacity is like, I am a little bit unknowingly somebody who, like, I'm not afraid to ask for help. I very much love it to delegate a thing, especially now. But you don't realize how much you don't ask for help when you need it. And you're
there's some ego involved there. Where you go, oh, I'm not Superman.
Yeah. Yes. And I do balance a lot of things, and I do, like, the neurospicy does help me. Like, I can sit down and bang out a week's worth of work in like a day. It's kind of insane, but I won't sleep all day, and it's not the best for me. Yeah. And when you're like taking care of something, you're literally growing, you kind of have to be like, well, fuck, I gotta stop. And I physically can't some of these things anymore. And so I built like myself a maternity leave. I'm my own boss. And I was like, well, I'm not going to work. In an ideal world, I would have taken more time off, but I also always wanted to be a working mom. Like I really value, I'm home a couple days a week with her. Right now I have her 2 days a week, and it's amazing. Yeah. But I'm like probably going to transition to just one, because my job, like, I can't just work 3 days a week, because 3 days a week is also me working nights and nap time, and I'm up filling in the blanks.
Well, that kind of takes me to being the idea of being present as well, which, and this is probably maybe more strictly personal again, but in that almost I would say like workaholic mindset, where it's like sometimes it's hard to turn off this ambition, not necessarily the work itself, but the ambition.
The thoughts are always there,
and the thoughts and the goals, and that I oftentimes unknowingly sacrifice almost all sense of presence and being in the moment. I mean, I can force myself to, like this weekend, it was my girlfriend's birthday, and we went to the Georgia Aquarium. They did a sleepover program. So we spent like 2 days in the aquarium. I don't think I looked at my phone maybe 3 times besides to take a photo. Yeah. But that's like the situation kind of forced me into that. To do that in a normal day for me is very hard.
Especially if you're not showing your baby screens.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
That has been a big lesson too. I think I figured out that in order for me to be more present with her, I have to be on my shit with my work. Right. Which just means I have to be better at like communicating when I need help, scheduling myself, taking care of myself. Yeah. And that's like something I didn't have a strong muscle in. I was very much like, I can always figure it out. I will always just pull an all-nighter if I have to. Right. I didn't like talking about how like I'm trying to figure out my process so that I can streamline it. So
Are you a procrastinator at all too?
It's the ADHD. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, me too. And I think not on purpose, efficiency usually is a word for me a lot too. Yes. It's like, if you tell me I have 3 weeks to do this, I'm not going to be very efficient. No. But if you tell me you need it tomorrow, I'll bang that shit out. Yeah. So I can imagine you almost have to like compartmentalize maybe and go, this is work time, so I'm going to haul ass, and then that allows me to be present. That's super interesting.
But it does help, and I notice, and it's something I'm constantly talking about with my therapist, is like, how do you, requires me to be more present. And when I'm not, and I'm on call for the store all the time. So like I have to have my phone on me just in case. And we're open 11 to 10 most days. So it doesn't really stop.
Yeah, y'all are open late. That's always,
which is awesome. I love it. But it just, we're open also almost every day of the year. Right. So it's like, it's a little, you get used to it. And I chose this life. I love it.
You also have a wonderful team surrounding you. Just from my experience, I mean, I'm sure maybe things arise. Who knows?
Oh, no. I mean,
everyone I've interacted with has been great. And I don't even want to try to guess at names because they just blur. But every time we've been there, I've had a positive interaction, just like in a personal way. Last time I was there, they may have told you this. Last time I was there, I was wearing this new pair of sneakers that I had bought just for the show, and unintentionally, I was squeaking every time I walked, and I didn't notice.
I love it.
So we're setting up the show. It's just me and Haley, and she somehow didn't notice either. Normally, she would call me out, and one of her staff comes back there. He goes, "Hey, is there a fire alarm going off back here?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." And they're like, "Is one of you squeaking?" And I said, "No, for sure, no."
So funny.
And then literally as they close the curtain and start to walk off, I take a step and it squeaks. And I went and like opened the curtain. I was like, "It's me. I think it's me." And I started doing it, and they were like, "That's it." So it's like little things like that where it's like they're fun. Mm-hmm. They're having fun, and they're at work. And from the outside, it seems like they fucking love their job.
They do.
And that's a kudos to you, because I have a job and I don't want to be there. I don't ever want to be there.
That's part of the reason why I built it the way it is, because I've worked many jobs I don't want to be in, you know. And the job that the community part, it's fun. We do a lot of fun things, and
sure.
I try to make it not like the most grueling thing, but like it's, you know, it's retail. It's not like the most highbrow thing, but I mean, all of them are really smart and really care about it, and are bought in on it like we are, and that's something I didn't expect.
Are they generally, and this may not apply to all of them, but do you like acquire these team members that are passionate about the business, or is it more like you're a space for them while they're chasing their dreams in like a building, or maybe a combination of both?
We started with 4 people. One of them was somebody that I approached to work for us, who I just like knew through family and friends, and it was like an acquaintance, but she worked at another business, and I was like, I'm not trying to like shark you from them, but like you're really good at it.
Right.
And she sells vintage, so I was like I had her as a vendor, and I was like, I really like you, like I think you'd be really good at this job if you want to do it. And then her best friend had been like she called it a retirement. She like left. She worked in childcare and early childhood education right out of college, and got really burnt out, and she like took a break, and so she came and had never come to, she was like, can I work here? And I was like, okay. And then another one of their friends, who's also a family friend, came and was like, can I work here? And I was like, okay, like you all seem like you can do it.
That's awesome.
And then all 3 of them were managers. One of them moved away, but 2 of them are running my shop. And then the 4th one, Kate, she is a part of the Atlas Books, our little bookstore.
Oh, okay.
So when I was meeting with them as a vendor before we opened.
Right.
She approached me and was like, I kind of need a job. And I was like, okay. So I kind of just like went off vibes of people who felt like a good fit. If any of them were like gave me red flags, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But then me and Brad were there all the time in the beginning. I really, the nerd out of In-N-Out that I love is that like I worked there for 6 years. Everybody starts from the bottom.
Yeah.
Store managers don't just come in as a person that they get trained to run a store.
Right.
They started with the shit and worked their way up. And they actually have like a pretty intense like level system. Like you have to pass certain like tests to get to the next level where you get like a promotion. I was a level 5. I didn't get super high, but I almost got I almost became a cook, but I was in college. I didn't have a lot of time.
I think there's some, you use the word perspective earlier, which is one of my favorite words to think about too. And I think there's almost some perspective that comes in a stacked level up environment like that, where it's like, yeah, that guy's in charge, but he used to cut onions.
Yeah.
Like he knows what it's like to cut onions.
All of the store managers in In-N-Out are still like fucking slinging burgers.
Sure.
They're still on the grill the whole time. I mean, they do other stuff, but they're still hustling hard.
Right.
And that's how we wanted
Starbucks
it to be.
is a similar model. So I was a barista there. And one of the guests of the show, my friend Bronson, was my manager at the time. And it's like he and I have this bond, not only because he's a great dude and is my friend and has gone on to do amazing things, but we were like elbow to elbow on an espresso line during a rush. There's something about leadership starts to kind of change the definition of something. And I think you being there, and from what I've seen, your interactions with them is a similar thing where it's like, you're not just some figurehead who's like signing the paycheck.
No. And I really, it's hard now because I'm not there all the time. Love being a mom. It's amazing. But it is like means I split my time more. And it does feel like sometimes I'm like, Jenny's my firstborn. We call the Generalist Jenny. Yeah. It's like a little nickname that the team made up, but now is like everyone's obsessed with. But, us showing and modeling what we wanted means that those 4 original people, that trickle down has happened with every new staff member. Right. And it's the culture of our team. Yeah. It's how you work hard. And that's how like someone put it really well. We did have like drama happens. We've gotten better. Year 3, we're like, okay, I think I've mostly figured it out. You can't always predict the shit that happens. But we had an incident and a person was leaving. But while I was like debriefing and figuring out some stuff with one of the team members, they were like, it's everybody here cares about making each other's job easier. And so if somebody isn't on that level, even if it's like not intentional, it just stands out.
It's the weakest link.
And it's kind of like, then you're like, well, you do not care about me. You know, like they all take it really seriously. And
personal. Yeah.
Which like, I'm like, well, that's cool. And that's kind of how I feel. Like, I mean, Brad and I both, it's cool to work hard. We definitely really preach balance though. Like I make sure very much, I'm like, if you do anything off the clock, you fucking tell me. Like, they'll all go like run the trash at the end of the night, but we have a scheduling app that you can't clock out without being like right in the building.
Oh, right.
I changed it recently. I'm like, I trust you're not going to like clock out in like 6 miles away.
Yeah,
like, none of these people are fucking me. But they used to be like, oh no. And it's like 2 minutes, but I'm like, no, but get paid for that time. We have like really strict rules around, or not strict, but I make a really clear point to like have a boundary where we're like, if you want to talk about work, you talk about it in the scheduling app. You don't text, except for me. Anybody else, you don't text. We have a fun group chat. We don't bring work into that fun group chat.
Yeah, the culture, which is another word we tend to go back to, and I love that word too. But the culture, I'm curious, do you think that you have like a direct impact on that still, or is that maybe something that any kind of touch you kind of imparted this version of you, and that I'm assuming, like anything, has evolved slowly? Is there ever a point where you go, I think it's getting a little far away, we need to realign with our values, or does the business maybe just follow the culture?
Yeah, I think the people who are running it with me, and I'm still very involved, I'm just not on the floor really anymore. I don't really run, which I miss sometimes. I'm like, can you put me on like once a month just for fun?
Yeah.
Like, and I cover sometimes, but I just have other shit to do. I have like a bunch of other shit I'm doing. So I'm like, oh my God, I guess I don't know how I did it before.
On top of having a child, which is
that's a full-time job too. But I think as quick aside of like parenthood is like, I think Brad and I felt more equipped because we had ran a business that we weren't. We're like, we're used to like just rolling with it and not like it doesn't ruin our day. We didn't have a lifestyle before that was like all we do is like clock out and go home and watch Netflix. We did very early on in our relationship, but that was like 10 years ago.
Well, then you realize you want to do some stuff.
Yeah, we're just not that kind of people. So, with the culture thing, I think I don't ever plan to just like peace out and let it get there. I think there have been times, especially like post maternity leave, where, and being like the first couple of years of business, I didn't have a team when I ran a business in Chicago. I had a business partner, and we like hired people occasionally to help with stuff, but I didn't have anyone on payroll. Sure. I have now 8 employees, and it's a different responsibility, and there is a difference. Like my managers this is their first time managing. Right. And so we're figuring it out together. Like it's been a year that my 2 store managers have been managing, and I had someone as a manager for a year before that. So I'm like, okay, I'm now in my 3rd year supervising a manager. Right. I've always kind of been a leader. I've been like somebody in other jobs that's had these things, but I'm figuring it out too. Part of that is like, I have to be on top of what they're doing and making sure that but that's a big priority to them too, especially because my 2 managers are people who were there from the beginning. Yeah.
And the balance of not micromanaging and overlording and
which I'm not like that. Like I'm very big on, maybe to a fault. Like I'm like, and this is something I've worked on with my management where I'm like, I can't treat you like someone who, this is my business and this is just like, I'm constantly just winging it. And they'll come to me like, how does this work? And I'm like, I have no fucking.
You kind of have to have the answer sometimes.
Yes, exactly. I have to. I need to give them structure so that they know what they're doing, and it's
that's just bad leadership. Like Chappelle used to have this great joke about that, and it takes me to my childhood because he's like, it's bad. If I went to my son and I was like, listen, we're having a hard time making rent this month. Like that's just bad. You don't want to impart that on them because the confidence is the key.
100% that
you have to run it. Yeah.
Yes, and you have to keep that certain things from them, and So I don't know. I think it definitely evolves on its own. Like I'm not. I'm not there all the time, so they have their own relation. Like they all go out. It's amazing. I'm invited. I feel very lucky that like my team wants to hang out with me.
That's really cool
because we're all similar age. Like I'm older.
My boss is cool, but she don't hear from me after 5.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Yeah, not all of us are meant to hang out with our bosses. Yeah, and I also know that like they don't always want to hang out with me. Yeah. And that's not because it's not a reflection on me. It's like because they've had enough of work, and I represent work, even if they, I actually just had a 4-hour dinner with my management team last week because we hadn't been out in a long time, and it was just us like catching up. We were we were like friends. Like it was like we like each other. So that is something that that's also something with the culture. Like it is they're friends with some of the other team members that they have to oversee too. So how do you manage giving somebody feedback and like especially if you're learning? We have some like rules of thumb that help us. Like you got to be just a straight shooter. I'm very not into like passive aggressive stuff. I'm a very direct person. I'm like, if you feel a certain way.
Honestly, I'm thinking I need to come work for you is what I'm starting to realize. Like all of the things you're saying, I'm like, that just sounds like a dream.
But yeah, it's fun. You can come animate things for me.
Oh, well, God, if you got 100,000 hours and $100,000, I could do it. team of one is rough in that
Yeah,
space.
I get it. I'm sure.
That just tanked out immediately after college because it's like I'm just one cog in this machine and there's no machine that wants me in there. So
no, I get it. It's a hard time right now too.
Yeah, 200 no calls on applications, and I went, you know what? I think it's time to move on with my life and find something new. Speaking of that, I do want to ask, and I don't want you to spoil anything, give anything away, but is there anything coming up at the Generalist? Any business ideas? Any festivals? Any promotion? Even maybe just a vendor you're excited about? Please, whatever you want to plug.
The plug. I am co-hosting a Christmas market in December 13th. Me and Brian Surway, who runs Holler House over here in Bristol, are running a vendor market. So
that's awesome.
we're calling it a homegrown gift market. We really want it to feel a little different than your average like vendor thing in the holidays. Maybe that's just me trying to like set myself apart, but like I love Jonesboro does their like Maker's Mill thing, right, and I really admire Melinda and what she's been doing with that, and have always wanted to do something like that. The original plan was to have it on Main Street, like Main Street days, and shut the streets down, but I just found out that there's a lot of red tape and things.
Sure. I can imagine.
And you know, like I work closely with Sarah, Lindsay, and we all learn things all the time that weren't told to us, which is like it's just how it goes.
I've learned some myself recently. From the same people you're talking.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay.
Sure have. Yeah.
This is a new rule. Well, apparently, because Main Street is a state route, and so TDOT has like final say over how it's used, and apparently you can't shut it down twice in 1 month, and the Christmas parade's the weekend before. So lesson learned. We won't do it in December next year, but we are pivoting and going to the pavilion. It'll still be amazing. There's like 45 vendors. It's a juried show, which means we're thoughtful of who we accepted. We're talking about some activities like a gift wrapping thing and some like hot drinks and maybe like a loungy vibe. I'm renting heaters for it.
Perfect.
Because one thing I really wanted is like it's a December fucking market outside. And even on Main Street, I was like, this is like the weather of it all is hard. So we're renting heaters so it'll be warm, and we'll be right in between the big Christmas displays.
You'll probably see me there because my girl she's all down for some Christmas shopping and some heaters and some warm drinks.
We're trying to make it super festive. So that's December 13th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's just a lot of stuff going on at the Generalist in general. Always. I'm doing charm bars. I'm doing this thing where I like the girlies love it. I don't know if your girlfriend's been, but maybe she should come.
Like charms on a bracelet or something?
Yeah, you get like a bracelet or a necklace and you pick out your charms. And then, so those are really popular. I'm doing a couple of those before.
She's doing the hats too. Have you done the hat bars?
I haven't done that, but those are cool too.
There's one in Knoxville that we went in this store, and as soon as we walked in, I was like, oh shit.
I'm like a recent hat girly, and I'm not really a trucker hat girly yet.
These were all foam, cheap trucker hats.
That's what they are. That's like the style for that, and I think it just hasn't hit me. Doesn't mean we can't do it. I'm now learning everybody wants to charm everything. So I'm like, all right, I'll charm it with you. Why not?
Just to personalize stuff, I think.
It's
people
fun.
like it.
Yeah, they love that. But other than that, we're just rolling into the holidays, which is always a big time for us. Small Business Saturday is huge. It is a good time to remind people to shop small.
Of course.
Especially right now where like I know everything feels super uncertain, but when you spend money, and I know this is probably going to be blasted all around you in the holiday season, but it's like the facts sometimes help is if you spend money in your own community, like 60 cents on the dollar stays local. Like I have local employees. I try everything I can to get local as much as possible. I buy a lot of things from local distributors. All of my vendors are obviously local.
That is a statistic that I've not heard, and I'm sure a lot of people haven't. But I mean, that's a significant.
I throw it out on some news segments I'm on sometimes.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Otherwise, like Brad always talks about, like we pay more locals than Target. Like Target has their staff of however many, but like we're paying a lot more people than that. So that is like something that's really measurable, I think. And it also helps for us. Like you buy something from a shop like ours, you get to we love to tell people a story behind the thing they're buying because we know everybody who made it. And a lot of times my team sees the people who come in and talk to them about it while they're putting it out and stuff. So I think that goes a long way and makes you feel more connected. And
especially in a culture like ours. Yeah. Because even with the fact that people see me there at every show when they come back, there is some level of like, ugh, this guy again, just because I'm performing. But the familiarity of it is nice.
Yes.
It is
nice. I think that I respect that. As someone who likes to, I run every one of my variety shows. I used to run all of the variety shows that we do that monthly too. So I have
Okay.
kind of talked about it earlier. We do a monthly variety show called, which I need to get you on. Actually, you got a ton of comics on. I met a bunch of people through you. Good. I saw that you had Meredith on recently.
Yeah, I love her.
She came, and her and is his name Travis, the buddy?
Probably, yeah. Travis Stevenson?
Not that one. There's another one.
From Blacks.
Maybe his name is Travis. I'm gonna feel really bad if his name's not Travis.
I'll think on it.
They come as a duo. They came as a duo to like a show I did last year. And
awesome.
They performed earlier this year, and I love when people come and they like that our space.
Yeah.
So I basically do like a 3 or 4 persons like set like I used to in my apartment.
Oh, gotcha. So but it's all like, mediums and all.
Different types of things. It's a lot of music because that's like the most common thing you can find around here. And I try not to have it be everything the same. But we're doing one of those November 22nd. It's the Saturday before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
That'll be at the shop. I've skipped the last 2 months. This summer kicked my ass, which I have to call out. I bailed on you twice, so third time's a charm. Yeah. I felt so bad.
We did it.
This summer kicked my ass, and I decided I was like, I can't do this. I can't.
Well, you have a couple things going on.
Yeah, just a few. I have a local musician who's interested in helping me with curating it. So
that's
help
good.
me figure this, because I love doing it, but I just
that was the whole that was scheduling this show. And also, like, I was pretty confident that at some point we would do this, so it's like, we'll do it eventually.
I'm like, I'm going to see you again, so.
Yeah, I'm going to be around. I'm not going anywhere immediately or whatever. So, no, that's exciting stuff, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's... Everything you do is exciting. As someone who's local and as someone who kind of utilizes your space, there's almost like this other layer to it, which is like I am a consumer still. I still go to places, and I think that your business does stand out to me, especially in the downtown space, but really just regionally, in that it's what you're doing is specifically what you're doing.
Yeah,
and I think it's obviously a huge representation of you and your team and the vibe and the culture and all these things. Right. But I mean, I think I wouldn't hesitate to say, like, Haley and I are like fans of yours. Like, we're like, and we
honored.
Promote and talk about the business. And I think that if nothing else, and this may get 4 views, who really knows?
I don't care.
If nothing else, I hope that it is some level of a platform for people to get a better picture of you and maybe some understanding of the Generalist.
They literally got my whole life story.
That's true. So. Yeah.
I started out from where I was born.
In the beginning. We did it quick. We'll do it again for sure. And we can dive more in depth.
We could have my husband on too.
I'd love to.
You could like just ask him one question about history of Johnson City, and he'll talk to you for 2 hours.
He's got to come on then. That sounds great. That'd be great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Is there any socials for the Generalist or you or anything that you want to plug to?
We are at the generalist.store on all the things. Instagram is our primary platform. We've started to dip our toes into the TikTok, and it's fun. People like it. So I'm like, okay, I got to do more of this. Yeah. You can follow me if you want.
Sure.
Laura Girl. It's my MySpace username. I still got it.
They might. Who knows?
LORAGRL.
Who knows?
But I don't know. We're cooking up a lot of stuff. We've got a lot of big ideas that are in the works. We're trying to figure out some additions to the Generalists and how that works. It's not like a huge giveaway, but we're trying to figure out how we sell ice cream by the scoop. We're thinking about having like an ice cream parlor, but there's a lot of like hoops to jump through, and so I was very confident in being like, it's gonna happen. And now I'm like, it's gonna happen somewhere somehow, but we're taking our time and believe in not ruining our pocketbook along the way.
Sure. Well, I also believe, based on all the evidence of what you've done so far, that whatever you do will be successful and uniquely you, if nothing else, and people will respond to it. The cool part about, we mentioned kind of like the building blocks and collecting these little things and building yourself is that it's easy to, I do this so often where I look back and I go, all these little things are pieces of me. And I forget that tomorrow there's going to be some more.
Yeah.
And there's going to be,
you're like making me think about my calendar. I'm like, oh God, there's a lot of stuff that's coming
and you're
up.
stacking, you're building up to whatever the next thing is. So it's like that's progressive and you're on that route. And I am a fan and I enjoy watching it. Well, so thank you so much for coming on and follow the Generalist and support them. And just, if you're not nearby, just support something locally.
Yeah. Please just buy something local if you can, anywhere you can. I know I sometimes have to be like, it's a little bit more inconvenient. Like you might not be able to go through a drive-through, or like you might need to like spend a little bit more money, but in the end, it's better for you.
Yeah. Get out of your car, turn your phone off.
Yeah.
Support the Generalist. Thank you, Bob. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.